All right, so buckle up, because today we're diving deep into the story of one of the most iconic cars ever, the Porsche 911.
Yeah, a legend.
It's truly a wild ride how the 911 became such a symbol. Like, it's more than just a car. It's got lessons for design, for sticking to a vision, all that. But let's rewind way back. Early 1960s.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
It's the era of British roadsters, those sleek Italian sports cars. Porsche had the 356, and it was doing all right.
Yeah, the 356, a real classic, but the market was starting to change.
Exactly. And Ferry Porsche, the son of the company founder, he was like, we need a successor, but it's got to be better in every way.
More power, more comfort, appeal to a wider audience. He had big ambitions for it.
And then enter the family drama. Ferry's son, nicknamed Butsy Porsche, gets involved. Think about that, designing the car for your dad's company.
Must have been some interesting dinner conversations.
No kidding. But Butts team up with some revolutionary sketches, those iconic headlights, that timeless shape we all recognize.
Totally changed the game. And you can't forget about the rear engine layout. That became central to the whole 911 story.
The rear engine, yeah. Always makes me curious, putting the engine in the back like that seems so unconventional, even kind of risky at the time.
Oh, it was definitely bold. Completely changes how the weight is distributed.
So I'm guessing those early 911s didn't exactly handle like a dream.
Yeah, let's just say they were known for being a little lively. But, to their credit, Porsche engineers didn't give up.
They stuck with it, huh?
Yep. Refined the design, kept tweaking the suspension, fighting those laws of physics.
Until they basically turned that quirk into an advantage.
Precisely. It became part of the 911's unique character, That rear engine grip, it gave it incredible acceleration, handling like nothing else on the road.
So we've got this bold design, but hold on, I heard a little secret. It wasn't always going to be called the 911.
You heard right, it was almost the 901.
Wait, seriously, what happened?
Trademark issues. Peugeot, of all companies, had dibs on 3-digit car names with a 0 in the middle.
So a legal battle over a single digit.
Yep, a simple swap, 0 to 1, and bam. The iconic 911 is born.
Crazy how a name can shape our perception, right? Like 911, it just oozes coolness, speed, precision.
Instant recognition. That's the power of branding.
It's more than just a name, it's an image. So we've got the daring design, a name that's basically legendary, and some serious engineering under the hood. But this is just the beginning of the story, right?
Oh, you're just scratching the surface. Buckle up, because the 911's journey, it's got twists and turns you won't believe.
Yeah,
the 911 was ready to prove itself, and did it ever. This is where it really cemented its legendary status.
You're talking about hitting the track right, because it's one thing to look good in the showroom.
Exactly. But the 911, it wasn't just about looks, it was built to perform. And what better way to showcase that than racing?
So where did the 911 really make its mark in the world of motorsports?
Honestly, everywhere. Rally stages, endurance races, you name it.
Wow, so it was a real all-rounder.
That combination of power and agility plus that rear engine grip made it a force to be reckoned with.
I bet those early 911s flying through corners, kicking up dust, must have been a sight to behold. Are there any races that really stand out in the 911's racing history?
Oh, so many. But the one that immediately comes to mind is the Targa Florio.
The Targa Florio, that's a legendary race steeped in history. I've heard stories.
It was brutal. This road race in Sicily, known for its demanding course and challenging conditions.
Yeah.
Winning there, it really put the 911 on the map.
Yeah, that's not just about speed, that's about endurance and strategy. What was it about the 911 that allowed it to excel in such a grueling race?
A few things. First, that lightweight but strong construction. Porsche engineers, they were obsessed with using innovative materials and techniques to keep the car nimble without compromising safety.
That makes sense. Every ounce counts in a race like that.
Right, and then there's the engine. The air-cooled flat six.
The heart of the beast.
Powerful, but also incredibly reliable, thanks to its relatively simple design. And of course, you can't forget the suspension.
Keeping the car glued to the road through those twisty turns.
Exactly. Porsche developed this sophisticated independent suspension system. It kept the 911 incredibly stable, even on the toughest roads.
Sounds like they were pushing the boundaries of automotive engineering.
They were, and those innovations, they didn't just benefit the race cars.
You're saying those advancements trickled down to the road cars, too?
Absolutely. Porsche had this philosophy, win on Sunday, sell on Monday.
I like that. So what you learn on the track, you apply to the cars everyday people drive.
Exactly. Take the 911 suspension, for example. What they learned in racing helped them create road cars that offered both amazing performance and a surprisingly comfortable ride.
That's smart, using the most demanding proving ground to make a better car for everyone.
It shows their dedication to improvement and their belief that motorsport is the ultimate test of innovation.
Okay, so we've covered the 911's success on the track. But what about its image off the track? Did winning races translate into becoming a cultural icon?
More than an icon, it became a symbol of aspiration. People saw those victories, they saw that sleek design, and everyone wanted a piece of the 911 magic.
I can see how all those wins would create a halo effect. It's like winning makes it cool.
Exactly. And soon, you saw 911s popping up in movies, magazines, on the arms of celebrities. It was everywhere.
So did this newfound fame change the 911's evolution? Did they have to make it more mainstream to cater to a wider audience?
It's interesting because while Porsche knew they had to appeal to a broader market, they never strayed from the 911's core DNA.
So they walked that tightrope, huh? Keeping the performance while making it more accessible.
Right. And that's a big part of why the 911 has remained so successful. They found this balance between performance and practicality, heritage, and innovation.
A car that can tear up a racetrack but also be your daily driver. That's impressive.
And it all goes back to staying true to its essence. But of course, not everyone agreed with every decision Porsche made along the way.
You're saying there were some controversial changes, decisions that maybe ruffled some feathers.
Oh yeah, there were definitely moments where Porsche had to make tough choices that didn't please everyone.
Back for the final stretch of our deep dive into the Porsche 911, it's been quite a journey tracing its rise to fame.
Yeah, from underdog to icon. It's amazing how they managed that.
You mentioned controversial changes along the way, decisions that not everyone was happy about. What kind of pushback did Porsche get as they developed the 911?
Well, one of the big ones was in the late 90s when they switched from air-cooled to water-cooled engines.
Oh yeah, that I can imagine sparked some heated debates. The air-cooled engine, it was like part of the 911's DNA for decades. What was the reason behind such a major change?
Well, for one thing, emissions regulations were getting stricter. And also, they needed more power and efficiency to stay competitive. Air-cooled engines, they had their charm, but they were hitting their limits.
So Porsche was in a tough spot. Stick with tradition and risk falling behind, or embrace new tech and maybe upset some loyal fans. How'd they handle that?
It was tricky. They knew they couldn't just abandon the air-cooled legacy.
Yeah.
So they made the transition very carefully.
Sounds like they were walking a tightrope.
They designed the new water-cooled engines to be even more powerful and responsive, but still with that classic 911 feel.
Did it work? Did they win over the skeptics?
It took a while, but most people came around. They saw that Porsche had managed to improve performance without losing the soul of the 911. Some even say the water-cooled engines made it even better to drive.
It's a cool example of how a brand can balance tradition and innovation. They kept the essence of the 911 while moving it forward, but things kept changing, right? Like the whole car industry is different now with electric cars and SUVs everywhere. How did the 911 adapt to that?
Well, Porsche did jump into those new areas with the Taycan and the Cayenne, but they never gave up on the 911. It's still their core, their benchmark.
So it's more than just a car. It represents something deeper about Porsche. What would you say are those core values that make a Porsche a Porsche?
Performance, for sure. Every Porsche is made to give you that exciting driving experience. But there's also a focus on precision and craftsmanship. The attention to detail, the quality of materials, everything is designed to work perfectly.
It's that extra level of care that turns a car into something special. But there's also the community around Porsche, especially the 911.
Totally. The 911 has this huge global community of passionate fans. There are clubs and events and online forums where people connect over their love for this car.
It's pretty amazing. It's become this cultural touchstone, a symbol of what a car can be. Wrapping up this deep dive, I'm struck by how the 911 story goes beyond just cars. It's about innovation and resilience and the power of a dream.
Well said. It's inspiring how they took this idea and turned it into an icon. And for one last thought, to leave with 911 story isn't over yet. Porsche keeps pushing the boundaries with each new model. What's next for this legend? And what other car legacies are being built today that might become as legendary as the Porsche 911?
Great questions to think about. That's what I love about deep dives. They make you curious. They spark those aha moments. Until next time, keep exploring and keep diving deep.